be doing fine retail,
Where
like
the
houses
two
there.
auto parts stores up there?
Our auto parts store,
Yeah, so
Right in here, right there.
it should be next to the,
Right here?
put it next to Wilson County
Yeah.
Jail.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, two of us in the cemetery at the back of.
it is at the old cemetery. They call it the, what do they call it?
Canary Islanders or something.
Canary Islanders, but then there was proof that they're not really Canary Islanders. I
And
don't know.
How old do those grades, I've been back there, I was gonna go back there the other day and look, how old do they go back?
Well, they're saying back in the,
The 1800s.
yeah, in the 1800s.
There's actually an old black cemetery right here. There's no headstones right here, there's a big oak tree. There's a,
Right by the skate park?
no, I'm sorry,
You're right, there's a skate park right there.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're right, there's 7th Street's right here in this
that's
little.
right in the very corner. When you go to the drive, HEB drive through, you drive right by it. There's right there.
Wow, so we found an
There's
18, one in
old,
1800s in there.
Really?
Yes, it's really neat.
How do you get to it?
Like you're gonna go, like to the drive through at HEB for your picture. Be on the southwest corner. Just go to the very corner of the
You could
property.
go to
7th
Seventh
Street,
Street.
go all,
And walk
turn
Go
left,
all the way to the left-hand
just
side?
go all the way down and you'll see it on the left.
I go in the other way.
No, it's fine.
What is it?
Wait,
It's an old
Cemetery.
black cemetery.
they had designated for black people.
Walker Edwards,
Yeah. Is that what it's called?
Walker Edwards Cemetery.
What is
It's
it?
a private cemetery.
Walker Edwards.
Walker's.
Walker Edwards.
And NPDC was also trying to, they cleaned it up actually.
It's back in here.
Yeah. It's
No,
like
on the
right,
corner.
where's
Oh,
that?
right here.
On the other side.
Right
of the
here.
road. That's right there. Okay.
Sorry, my finger pointed.
It's kind of.
See, that landowner is belonged to a man named Bubba Walker.
Okay.
Oh, wait, since you're thinking of cemeteries, where's our cemetery?
This is a service station.
That one, right there, right?
And where's the one, is this it over here?
That's the Catholic
No.
cemetery.
It says Sacred Heart, but I think this is the city's.
Yeah, that's the city.
This is the city's, this is Sacred
Sacred
Hearts.
Heart.
Yes.
Well, now, is it zigzag or is it a big square? It's a big square, just
It's
that
the
right.
road is like that, but the thing.
Yes.
It's,
Okay,
yeah,
there's
it's
one.
rectangle.
We got a bunch, we have
That
Plum,
was City
the De
Cemetery number
Lacerdas?
two.
Yeah.
the one on Plum
It's
Street.
red,
City
that's
Cemetery
a
number
service
two.
station for retail. And this,
We also have another cemetery on Plum Street,
back
right here.
Off the loop.
No,
There's one right over there, right where you cut across. There's one right,
is it over here, up here?
right.
Or is it, here's the,
Right here
this,
somewhere.
That's where Bubba Walker's buried.
Is Bubba Walker buried there?
City Cemetery number two.
Really?
oh, he's not even buried in the other one?
No.
How interesting. Huh. Okay, so, where is it? On the top side of Plum, right?
Where you go to cut across.
181, the big
This
road,
is
make
retail.
right, and go
Little retail.
down. It's gonna be on the
Blue Cross
right-hand
does.
side.
Okay, so it's on that side, so it's up here. Okay, okay, here's 181. Wait, here's the big one. Okay, where's Plum, where's Plum? Yeah, oh yeah, here's Plum.
Over there.
Here's Plum. Is it down here somewhere? Up here somewhere? I thought it was here somewhere. Or is it down
There's one right
here?
here off the loop on the side. Do you remember where the 10 acres that belonged to economic development, give it to them 12 acres? It's right behind that cemetery. It used to be a thorough street that went through. Off the loop.
What is that here where Third Street?
Isn't that the old, low school?
No, that's the basketball court. That's a basketball court. Yeah, the Lodi court.
Which
Oh, I was
which is
gonna
where
say
the old
this
high
is-
school used to
Yes,
be. Okay.
actually, the old Lodi school that they tore down.
Yeah.
That's where they said Hispanics back then.
Yes, yes.
We all had our little sections. Yeah, I mean, it's a fact, that's how it
That's
was.
why, yeah, that's why.
Where's the road that runs into
Okay.
Solar Springs Road?
329 is.
It goes straight through.
Yeah, it goes straight.
Yeah.
It's not a crooked,
Oh,
Somebody wrote up a little fun.
No, it's down, it's this one.
This is 129. What does it say 129?
Yeah, so-
329 on
So
the
that,
other side.
that
See, that's
cemetery's right
fun,
there.
that isn't it.
Cemetery's right
It's
there.
gotta be that one.
That's it right
Right
there?
there.
Right here.
Yeah. And then you saw, this is our another river bend.
Right.
We just platted this out too for more homes to be built.
In the corner there's, I
Yeah.
see this is J.N.
Now, did they, how do they handle their sewer? Do they have
There's
a?
a lift station.
Lift
See,
station.
see
There's
these
a
water,
huge
that's where they
station.
put it.
No. There's a huge lift
I was wondering if
station.
they had a package plant and
They
then
don't.
using
They
it to,
don't.
and
No, no.
treating the effluent to water the golf course.
No, well, okay, the water to the golf course, and they have their own separate meters for the irrigation,
Mhm.
comes off this water here,
Is that stormwater?
yeah.
Got a lot
But
of
also,
holes.
but I think they have a river permit too, don't they?
That I don't know.
I think they have a river permit, I'm pretty sure.
That I don't know, but I do know that they have a separate,
This is an industrial plant, Texel.
oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's industrial smack dab in the middle of everything.
Yeah. And we almost got them moved, and I don't know what happened.
He's been there forever in the day, they're like.
Well, Jesse supposedly offered him free land out in
Yeah,
the
for years.
Rio Grande.
Exelon, like the energy company?
Texel.
Texel is the name of it.
Texel.
What do they manufacture?
They're,
Like
they,
iron and stuff?
they melt it.
Is it aluminum?
It's iron.
Melted.
Cast.
Yeah.
Smelting.
Foundry.
Melton.
In a fountain, there you go.
And we got this guy real mad at us. We wouldn't let him put in a man camp.
I'll talk about it.
Beg your pardon?
I'll talk about
I didn't, I just said, what
it. You can talk about it.
You can.
Don't talk about Paul, he's one of my youngest son's best friends.
Oh, hey, no, I mean, it just,
He's middle
I feel
aged and
for him.
transigent.
Because you can't reach it.
non-harmonious.
What is,
That is.
The present bus barn
oh, thanks.
Yes.
that they're moving here.
Okay.
Mhm. That's the bus barn.
That's the bus barn. What's gonna become of the bus barn?
We have no idea, we haven't heard anything.
Oh, do you remember the old bus barn? What are
Ray
they
and I were talking
doing
about that.
with
a
it?
minute.
Standish?
Yeah.
Environmental.
No, I've heard nothing.
Used to
Who
be
owns
all
it?
mechanics for his bus barn, it was
The
service.
school owns it, and I thought it was
Yeah,
all
but
in
you
the
drop by
track
at
with
night, it
Rick.
moves.
I don't know.
There's a.
I don't think
You look at
that-
that, all this much concrete over there?
Yeah.
No, no.
Services and stuff over
I haven't heard
There, there's a
anything.
big tanks in there.
Yeah.
there. Which is the scary part.
Yeah.
You and I know.
All right. Is that a city park? Looks like a baseball. Standish and Second.
The Catholic Church.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
the baseball field.
From the Catholic Church.
And you have another water tower right there also.
Yeah, that's Catholic.
Where's the church itself? Is it?
It's on
So
the
they're pretty-
southeast corner.
It's all church land.
It's all church.
All that whole block?
Yeah, they have housing for the nuns, and they have baseball field, and school,
School.
church.
You know they house nuns there. It's awful loud.
I never was, used to be in the church, and I just come straight across in there.
The Baptist?
Isn't there a Baptist church?
Yeah, but it's right by Montes, because I park in the church.
That church is right.
Yeah, but the Baptist,
And
there.
that's-
Where are we? They got all marked up.
Well, you have to move the church over by I mean, Church of Christ, brother.
Baptist church owns all the way from Luke 181 back to the street by Marcus.
Monto's on Third. Here's the Baptist, there's a Church of Christ.
Oh, yeah, all
And then
of
the
that is all
Methodist
church.
is huge.
Yeah, right across the street.
That's
Those are
interesting.
Baptist. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so here's the Methodist, Lutheran is here. And they have all of
As far as property, the Baptist owned everything up to here, plus this little area right here.
Sometimes I get a little, I don't know.
So the idea of bars opening.
Let's see if it's just hard to code it, I can't remember.
There are some downtown.
We
but-
have,
that. On C Street, they're in this
we
area.
have 2 of them on C. No, actually, 2 on C, 1 on Third.
Who's on Third?
No.
I don't know.
Little house.
Yes, it
cafe.
is.
Who?
Little house.
But the other thing. you
No,
don't
White
have
House.
is churches.
White
Oh,
House
White
Cafe.
House.
You've got
Yeah, well,
resi-
he's got it in here.
You've got residential around
On
the churches.
Third.
And then you have
Rovers.
Rovers.
You have,
I'm in a meeting now, could you call me back in
Blues?
about 30 minutes or
Blues
so?
and, CD.
Okay.
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Thank you.
That's down like
That's-
seven, and you got Big Dan's downtown.
Well, we counted
And
two.
Castro's.
And Castro's is not, it's only on weekends, so I don't count it as
I
a.
tell you what I like, on our downtown streets, they'll put up signs, you can't park here unless you're going to dance or something, or 30-minute parking limit. Don't park there every time.
But you just look for trouble.
Well, they don't on the street.
They don't, really, technically.
Parking where you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's, yeah.
What is this corner here? I remember that seemed, last time I drove by, it seemed a little
That is the
underutilized.
Chamber of Commerce, and this is the old school administration building that's
Yeah.
now
Which
for
is-
sale.
That's for sale, that's it.
And there's a hamburger place back here, and those 2 long lines are storage.
Short,
You get sisters.
And then you got Sisters, yeah.
There was talk of a Walgreens wanting to buy that
Yeah, but
corner,
I forgot why they didn't.
the trees.
There's the real poor access, you have access here and access here.
They wanted our
It's all
trees.
state right here.
But this is
They
not
want to take trees
illegal
down
access.
front?
You know,
Do
the
you
trees
know
are
that?
all pretty
Oh,
right
beautiful.
there.
No.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
didn't know that.
I'm saying.
that's what I've been told.
That's the chamber, okay.
Because they wanted
Chamber,
to.
and
But it's
then
on a
Sisters.
freestanding building, it's not even, whoever trades for this will move the chamber out.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna try
No,
and.
I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I know that was one of the
There's an auto
concerns.
parts store here, Sisters here, and now
Where's
there's a,
Sisters?
it's a boutique,
It's a boutique.
and then there's a car lot right there.
It's a place where you go once.
Next to the houses that are on Saturday.
Big 25%.
Same owner.
That's gonna be a key property right there.
There's some trades going on out there now. This guy did a real tricky fancy thing with the school. He went in and offered them $2 million and put down some money at a feasibility. He says, I'll give you another 100,000, but I can only pay 1.6. So they took another 100, goes back to the other, I'm gonna close it, but I can only pay 1.2. And he just walked them, they just walked in thinking, well, why don't we stop this? Well, we've got this going on. I said, no, he's got you on the hook. He just keeps rolling the price back. That's the truth. You check it.
Wow.
But there's a group, there's a guy in Houston had it, and I think he swapped it to a guy in Austin.
I called and talked to the people in Austin, SCS, and told them, I was with the chamber and that I thought that it was really, chamber office was a landmark, and if at all possible, if we could remain in our spot. Is what depending on who bought it.
Okay.
But he bought it to swap on. The guy in Houston closed it, and then the guy in Austin is trading on it, just to land it.
Yeah, I can understand
What do you think? Not much
Oh.
cheaper from everybody else, right?
No, actually, one of the things that strikes me
Mhm.
is the distribution of public facilities.
It's kinda weird, isn't it?
There's a lot of small, kind of scattered throughout, small pieces scattered throughout. And that, you know, that, the story of that is people, the city, the school district, the county got property while they could, while they had the money, and while they could swing a deal. And they kind of cobbled things together over time. That's the history behind it. But it's actually, I think, it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's gonna be expensive in the long haul to maintain facilities, multiple scattered facilities everywhere, and that's what, and so you're gonna have a push towards, trying to consolidate those. The school districts wanna consolidate
Like they
their
did.
facilities like they did here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
That was a response to having things
Yeah.
all over the place.
right.
On the other hand, you've got opportunities and little footholds all around the
Mhm.
old part of town that you can use to your advantage in really creating neat neighborhoods and streetscapes. Because they're tied to, you know, public use, and they're tied to, you know, really some agglomeration here of taking care of people. Another observation is, and Cindy, you were right on about these pockets in
Yeah.
here that are kind of holding out, waiting, and the struggle with those is gonna be, getting proper access.
Frontage access.
And situations like this where somebody didn't wanna
Landlocked.
extend through,
Mhm.
so it's gonna be very, very difficult.
Mhm.
And that's why those are sitting.
Mhm.
Um,
Exactly.
The other observation I have is on an intense intersection like this one,
Mhm.
it's gonna be very difficult to, it's very difficult to get good circulation around this intersection.
Yes.
You have to almost pick up, when these guys plat, this guy plats over here, you really have to force that circulation, so you get kind of a secondary loop built over time.
I see.
I don't
Because
know-
the traffic is horrendous.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad there because
Between
there's not
2
another.
and 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
I don't even know what the car count is right now, but
It's bad. It's gonna be better now that school's gonna be out, but,
Probably, probably around 10, 12,000.
I'm on, and then the 03, this was 24,000.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, when I first moved back here in '93, the traffic count for the old Walmart was 21.
oh, wow. Well, there
This
you
was
go.
23. and
So who knows what it is right
I
now?
was gonna be 45,000 or
Yeah.
something.
That's a lot.
Mhm.
I bet right now you have between 700 and 1,000 trucks.
And then
Mhm.
I was coming out of that
Where'd they go?
hamburger joint out here. Took me a long time because those trucks,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know.
they
Ooh.
Would they go back this way?
And they're on the other, on 97
If you
too.
look at 97, there's a corridor from Gonzales to
Mhm.
Catula,
Mm.
and there's
That's
about
where they're going.
6 feeders off that feed back to 97. But you get to off of 35.
So they're
Alright,
going
then.
to Gonzales on
They're going to, if they're going
97.
to Houston or Gonzales, or using
Yeah,
this,
so they're,
or if they're reverting back over here for
They're-
whatever need.
you know, there's an awful lot of trucks at Gonzales at 97 and 183.
You got, you
Where
got
the bigger ring is.
Plate at 417,
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah,
that, all the
'cause I
trucks that travel.
Sit up in the Croson announcer stand.
Yeah,
I see the
417
intersection.
and 123,
Mhm.
there's all transportation to the center, they probably have 50, 60 trucks.
Yeah.
You know,
Where is
it's-
Lodi Park?
Here.
Did y'all mark that?
Well,
we
well,
did.
here's the basketball court. Now, are you talking
I'm
about
talking about
the one next to the sewer
yeah,
plant?
Yeah,
We have a park next to the sewer.
that's our Josie Pettis
That's-
Park.
that's
Is
not
it-
Lodi Park.
Is it on Goliad Road or?
Yes,
is it-
right off
The
the.
city's taking this part back.
Right here.
The city's gonna take that part back and use it for storage.
Come all over
Oh.
there, or is it
Yes.
just-
City
Well, it
Park.
was.
I think so.
They're gonna store materials.
So it's just for material storage or?
It's
It's
not,
gonna,
it's not all
it's
gonna be a
gonna
park.
end up, yeah. It was a park.
It technically is a park, but it's not gonna be.
Yeah, but don't put it on your park agenda, because it's not gonna be a park.
Yeah.
This is our old railroad
Right.
track.
What do you do from here, Chris?
Well, I'm gonna put this into GIS format. We'll trace this up and draw it up and let's kind of see, I'm gonna step back and take a look at what pattern emerges. The other thing that, where I was heading with this congestion issue is that you can never just look at land use by itself. You always have to look at future transportation at the same time. One of the kind of the obvious things that people do when they have congestion downtown is put a loop in. We've got one loop here on 181, but
It goes
I'm
through
wondering,
town.
do we want to think about a way to get, maybe this is where I back out.
This is almost as much congestion here.
Right.
because it's-
So,
No, I'm good. I actually better standing
Oh,
than trying to lean.
You know, without building a highway, I don't know how to get around, those two intersections,
in,
that one and that one.
yeah, so you got congestion here, congestion
You wanna come around
here.
here, come on.
Let me answer.
And you see our park down there? See our park, the river park?
Down here?
Keep going.
Oh,
Trying
okay.
Yeah.
That's right, there's that's.
City park that's not
in the
convention
city.
center, the city
Yeah.
center. Right, that's not in the city limits.
correct.
But it's ours.
Well, ours and bank.
You're starting to see a pretty good flow of traffic that are, when they're coming, they're usually going to go over to town. If they're going to shop for service on this end of town, they're coming around past Walmart and circling back
That's
around.
all around.
So you already you have the makings of a loop already by doing that.
Well, definitely, yeah.
And
And maybe what we need to do, and I'm just checking out loud here, is, we do this in pencil, so it's not too obvious. Maybe you work at getting a connection somehow there to there, and,
you're probably going to get a connection right here with what this used to look like is.
That's Sutherland's,
This one is?
I think so, yeah.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
This is on the Spring Road?
Mm-hmm.
and the other,
Okay.
another approach besides,
Hey.
besides trying to come up with a large loop that bypasses and really kind of starts to divert is you extend a grid network, and that is another way to kind of distribute that traffic load. So you distribute it across the grid, so you work on making connections through, and you do it on a fairly regular basis,
I see.
and then connection through.
See, you have a pretty good chance of getting a connection right here.
Right there.
Yeah.
Well, part of the deal for Richardson is there has
That's
to,
you.
Mm-hmm.
up there where Richardson is, they're gonna have to go one across
Yeah.
from 181 to this 181, right? So
Mhm.
you can do that connection across there.
So it's gonna be, it's gonna be difficult up here because these are, on these 329, 302, back in here, these are large lot residences where people, they're rural and you could have, you would have a huge fight about getting any kind of truck routing through there.
This is the county road here, what it is?
Is this 301?
Yeah,
Okay, no, where's McCoy's?
up here, my voice is right here.
They talked about also using this as another, like a grid you were talking about.
It's like, it's
Because
barely
you can
a
go this way, or you can
single
go,
line.
you can
probably.
go this way. The bad thing, see how it's ugly going through there.
There's a big difference, maybe bridge right
It
here.
would take a lot of money to make that a good thoroughfare.
See, Hardman's,
That's flood down there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because it's the creek.
That's right,
It's the creek.
and see, your city of Energy's gonna come up to like right here,
Yeah,
when this deal stops.
yeah, the rest is Oak Hills. I mean, it's, we've talked to them, to the developers too, we're talking about, just like you said, the grid thing.
Mhm.
And it makes sense because you have the major road here, and then their business is here, and they can go a back way. or come out
Well, as
this
more
way.
happens here, these guys should want to work because if they need
Yes,
the extra traffic count, they can develop here about making this a,
yes.
you know, instead of
Good,
gravel.
instead of a
asphalt
gravel
road.
road, a good, with a nice bridge right
Well,
here. to
and
get
we're
through.
thinking too that commercial growth is gonna be in that direction. anyway,
Exactly.
So there's gonna be a lot more traffic flow up there.
But you don't even have to go to the bridge, they can cut it here.
That's true.
You know, you don't, the Chad
That's
Hartman has a crossover here that's about 60 foot wide, and I can pick up a few more here.
That's true.
Or else you pick up the one that's already there
It's
with
pretty up
cars.
here too. It's real pretty up there. I say up.
This is very low now.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
But
There's
extension.
another church right here.
There is?
Yep,
Okay.
Yeah, Baptist.
Baptist. It's our water too.
You know, you have city water and sewer to right there.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
Well, we
it.
thought it was in city limits.
Actually, this is ours too. I laugh, but yeah, it's ours. This is Morningdale. It's a mobile home manufactured park.
Okay.
With 2 or 3 acres.
So, looking here too, another
So you're saying this is city, this is ETJ,
the yellow CTJ.
Oh, that's ETJ.
Is this a power line?
I
Or
don't know.
gas?
I don't know.
That was a smudge.
It's something
I think
like
it's
that.
power, I think it's power.
Is it power?
Yeah. Because
The
there's a power.
transmission line?
Oh, it's plowed. I mean, it's mowed,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's gotta be power.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Phelps Tower, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because I live right here. Yeah, that's what it is.
And Chris, real quick, we've talked to Tech Dot, and they have actually talked about doing a super street. Have you heard of those?
mhm.
Kind of like what Comfort has, because they thought that Comfort and us were kind of like the
Okay.
same. So maybe you want to look and see what they got there. I mean, this is just something that they were talking about in the future.
The Super Street will just cut out a lot of the turnarounds
Yes,
on 181.
exactly.
And
Those,
then, but to
because
be
they want
honest,
to keep the flow.
they did it north of the San
Yeah.
Antonio, 281.
Oh, those little doodads?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's not exactly the technical term, Teddy,
What
but
do you think of
yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah, no, that's.
It looks like it works.
That's it, that's it.
They'll do that,
That's
I like
in
that.
Tech Dot manual, TC
That's it. That's where they're out there.
87.
No, out there on 281 by Encino or,
Yeah.
What amazes me is they, because I was up there.
Is it Stone Oak?
Yeah, it's done up.
no,
Yeah.
Further. Is it Stone Oak?
Stone Oaks.
Yes, that was it.
Oh, Stone Oak. 281 north.
Stone Oak is
Has
up
16
281.
oaks.
It's not at the corner, it's,
Oh, is it
it's
that?
a little further in.
It goes all the way around.
Stone Oaks, Sunzero, that's right there.
It goes
Oh,
all the way
okay.
back and right around on 281.
Ray, how far is the industrial park right there?
Of course,
It's way out
2 miles, maybe.
there.
It's,
Right.
yeah, that's the road. It says here.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is, well, I don't want to say it's alley, it's an industrial park.
You want it?
I don't like anything industrial. I'm a green,
But I
tree
think that's what
hugger.
We need to do something with it.
My husband. Do you tree hug?
So,
I
you know,
love
that's
trees.
kind of there's kind of a logical connection here
Mhm.
with right of way, it's FM 537, so
Right.
that's text out
Goes
right away.
stop
There's a logical connection.
there.
I'm trying to stay out of, I know.
Hey, don't worry about Teddy, just go straight to the
Yeah.
door of the house.
That's really.
Here, I mean, there's a,
For
Yeah,
future,
logical-
future, this is
Yeah.
future.
I want, not in my life.
See, there you go, future.
What is this road?
At 402.
Is that the one that goes all the way to oh no, where's the one that goes to the middle school?
That's 401.
401.
Okay.
It's this one.
The extension of Lee Street.
see, that's a good continuation of the grid.
This parallel, look at that.
This would be a good extension of the grid. And I'm just drawing on here, I'm not picking on anybody's
No, 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 no,
property.
no.
I'm just drawing on here like.
We understand.
I see
We understand.
potential.
This is for our great grandchildren.
Oh, heaven.
Of course.
Yeah, they did that in Coleman, Texas, they did a loop around, so
Yeah.
you did go through town, downtown died.
Well, that's the problem, you really wanna,
You gotta be real careful with that, you
See, and that's just the, how can, like now, because 181 is the hot, I mean, everybody goes through, it. We know HB there,
That's
Walmart
right.
there.
But the money we're
But
getting
what, we want to get people inside here
across
too.
these two roads, if you take the money off these two roads and put it out there, they're not gonna spend it.
yeah, but if you just take the trucks off,
Well, the biggest issue,
hazardous cargo,
the biggest issue with truck traffic is the business loop. And I think we addressed that at the city council meeting, we said, I believe we can limit that traffic to local deliveries only. When we start changing the traffic flow on 181, I think we're gonna have a significant impact upon businesses, we're gonna have a significant impact upon traffic flow, and a huge hurdle with tank stop. You know, if this is a long-term goal for the city, at some point at 5 and 10 years, I can see that, but in the immediate near future, I think we're gonna have more resistance to bypassing traffic around town. I think our biggest issue is the business loop and the truck traffic. You know, I even think the issue of super streets along the business loop are gonna encounter some significant resistance.
until somebody gets killed, or there's a hazardous spill, and then everybody will wake up.
Well, you know, there are ways to address, you know, hazardous cargo bypasses, you know, hazmat routes, and I can support that. But when we start saying we're gonna reroute a major piece of the traffic through this community, we're gonna impact local businesses substantially, because the oil field traffic does a significant amount of business in our community. And being able to drive through our town and being exposed to our businesses is critical to that.
I understand that.
Yeah, Jim, I don't really think that the truck traffic is gonna be sustained for 10 or 15 years, because you know, once the drilling stops,
Oh, that's
production is
true.
pretty
Yeah.
full speed. If they're producing much, they're gonna put it in a pipeline, because it's a lot cheaper to do pipeline.
And don't forget, they got the railroads in Saspanico coming up again to divert all that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, we may have 10 years of truck traffic because of the lower geographics that might have some more limit, but I don't think that we're gonna have all these wall trucks running through here 10 years from now we got today.
Well, you know, in 10 years, hopefully, Jim, you know, our city has increased substantially in population, and other cities will have increased in population substantially, and other types of truck traffic may be taking the place. You know, if we want to look at, and I'm thinking very simply here, you know, 181 is this wonderful pipeline from San Antonio all the way down to the coast. And the moment we start putting in mandatory bypasses, if you will, then they're gonna be more likely to take that 37 route than the 181 route, and we're impacting our city. I understand what Philip's saying when it comes to hazardous materials and hazmat truck traffic, and can support that. But when we start impacting the flow, that flow is critical to this city.
Yeah, and I think, you know, maybe my interpret this differently, but when I look at that, I'm not necessarily thinking about diverting traffic around the commercial areas of the city so much as we've got intersections like 181 and 97, that over time are gonna get pretty nasty. And we're trying to make it, trying to entice people to be in the commercial areas and not be afraid of intersections like that. So it's not trying to get people away from those commercial areas, but make it more convenient for them to
This
use.
is a real story.
And I came in late, and I apologize for that, but, you know, when we start talking about bypasses, I get nervous.
Yeah, so no, we're not trying to,
We're doing a workshop, we're not making any decisions.
The bypass discussion, I mean, and my point is only because that's one of the logical things that comes up. And I'm not advocating for a bypass, I'm just trying to look at what are the options. I think we're seeing, just going through this exercise here, we're seeing that kind of an extension of a grid and having a predictable grid is going to be a way to distribute that traffic without having to go and petition TxDOT and get your legislator involved to build a bypass.
Well, you're gonna kill the way everybody's working so hard to
Oh,
build.
yeah, we can't do that.
You know, and I am very supportive of, and one of the things that Philip and I worked hard on was looking at our land use assumptions, where we will go, so that we as a city can plan appropriately. And if the grid avenue is the avenue to do that, great, you know, because we must be making plans for infrastructure.
Mhm. Right, and that's the purpose too, is we kind of identify a strategy and we get it in the plan, and then as things begin to develop, we make sure that those pieces are cut the right way. And that's how we build that puzzle. Over time, you know, if 181 is that lifeblood,
It's an aorta.
we gotta make sure that it doesn't start to choke off, or, you know, just because it takes 20 or 30 minutes at some point in the future to get through Florida.
But you're gonna see more and more of your residential traffic use this road, they already started to do it, and water finds the level. You're seeing your
Yeah,
commercial
that's
traffic go this way,
because
and residential going this way.
it will, as long as it has the options.
And as you get more crossovers here, you're gonna take pressure off this for residential.
Yeah.
You know, it's just gonna be quicker, easier, and I'm talking about, you know, the moms that are going to boat or whatever, they're gonna either come here, or they're gonna go here and cut
So
like that.
turn all the way
And this is
through.
gonna be continued to be industrial.
The bypass all the way through.
Yeah, I've seen it already. You watch, go behind an old person and watch them go to Walmart, or watch them go to whatever. They come out here, they go into the hospital. They go up and they come back down and go back this way. They don't go out, they don't touch that.
Just follow Ted.
They work all the way
Yeah,
around.
well, my mom used to go to the hospital from over here, she grew up this way, and go back to it, so it was always right turns.
You may get your dog in.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you already, you know, there's a way to work with what you've got and I think not hurting anybody.
But you can see that all this is, like you say, all these big agriculture lands, and they've owned them for hundreds of years, and
Yeah, but every city has
Yeah.
that problem. It's just, we don't want to get into
no, but I'm just saying, you
eminent
can
domain,
see that,
things like
yeah.
that.
You get the taking,
Yeah, that's,
no taking. But it's
we
good
have
to
to serve a
know, but
greater good.
it's kind of neat to see that, to foresee that too, you know? Because he's just seeing it from the outside, you know?
Yeah, I know this way, a whole lot.
You
I
know?
went over here, I cut over here, and go right there.
Because he
Not
knows,
our roads.
he knows. And when I come into work, I come the back way too, I don't go through all that. I do. And even the back way's getting crowded.
You're starting to see more and more cars.
Yeah,
Really?
do, yes.
But it's a good road. I mean, you
It
drive
is.
60 miles an hour,
Yeah.
fast enough. Nobody would work it radar out there,
There's
right?
a speed limit.
what do you need us to do for next time?
What's our homework? And when's the next meeting too?
When's our next meeting?
Next week,
Next week, right?
next Wednesday. And we got stuff.
So then we
While
got,
you're
We
looking
got
at that,
stuff.
Philip, I'd like for you
Okay,
to
it's good stuff.
brief at a city council meeting where we're at in this
Mhm.
land use
Yep.
plan specifically, you know, what has come out of these workshops and what questions are being asked, and hopefully that kind of presentation to the council and the public is gonna motivate some more citizens' participation in these workshops.
Chris, combined, got all our input there, I didn't put one in, but like Phillips and Jim's and Andy's got all their inputs in, and this is what he came up with.
That was kind of a first exercise of what is, we talked about some of the major strengths of the community and things that we felt like were unique and special and we wanted to be able to preserve, and just in terms of capturing that language and trying to pull it together into something that we can have as a touchstone or have in the back of our mind as we start to envision how the future of the city's going to grow up.
And I think you've missed a couple of very significant points here. And one, I think in the short term, and Jim may argue with me on this, we must be marketing this city as the gateway to the Eagle Ford. It is that gateway. And if we are going to bring in the businesses and the organizations that are going to support raising families and support the use of our parks, we must utilize that, you know, because the Eagle Ford is going to change the way this country functions, you know. And although the drilling piece may drill out in 5 years or 7 years or 10 years by some estimations, the production piece of that's going to be another good 20, 25 years. You know, we've got to be marketing ourselves as more than just a place, as a spot on the map or a place to have a house. We have to be marketing this community to business, to those that want to move. If we go back in time a little bit, this is something that the city failed miserably with Halliburton developing on the south side of San Antonio, with Shell Oil developing in Karnes County, with Hunt Oil Company setting up corporate headquarters in Polk. We've got to take that approach, because without that business growth, we won't be able to support the expansion. We won't have the draw to the families or the builders to build homes. You know, then we become a suburban community. And I think that has to be key in what we are trying to project our city as. Maybe not using those words, you know, gateway to the Eagle Ford. I'm not married to that sort of thing. But we must focus that we are a community that has a wealth of resources and access to that Eagle Ford that all of these companies and organizations are looking to build. That was the purpose of our industrial park, you know, and look what you know is going on out there.
And Jim, if it makes you feel any better, the discussions we've had kind of in previous meetings and over time here really have been very specifically at your point.
Okay.
Which is about, you know, we have always been a bedroom city for San Antonio, more or less. We've got some short-term growth because of all the drilling that's going on. But after the drilling goes away and we get into production, we have businesses that we want to bring in and sustain. And that's kind of what our discussion has been as well.
Well, and my point in my comments is, you know, if we're going to publish a vision in this land use plan, we need to include that piece, that we want your business here in this community, you know, and what we have to offer for that business development. And that was just my first blush at it. I haven't sat down and
Yeah, and obviously, you know, we're looking to figure out where the consensus is, and if there's consensus around a gateway to the Eagle Ford concept, then that
Well,
should be
and-
reflected.
You gotta look at a vision statement is a higher statement than a marketing statement. And I take your point, but I think gateway to the Eagle Ford is a marketing statement that the FED should have printed on their forehead on every meeting they have. I'm not sure that a vision statement shouldn't be slightly.
But as I read this vision statement, and I'm not saying that use those words, but what's lacking in here is the vision that a corporate organization would look at and say, yeah, that's where I want my headquarters. Because it says a lot about family, and it says a lot about friends, and it says a lot about community, but it says nothing about building a business.
Embraces its strategic location was part of that direction I was trying to pick up, and
I'm just
Oh, no,
giving
no,
you
no.
my opinion, guys.
No,
I
yeah,
mean,
no,
I'm just the outside
Yeah,
looking in here.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, one of the underlying basics that we look at here, and we talked about here, is sustainable growth, is one of the issues that we very much.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we may not be saying that in those words, and we certainly have got some work that we're gonna do on that. But all the things we talked about so far
I had my
are things that we are going through as we build this plan.
And it's not my intention, guys, to change your direction or say that what you're doing is incorrect. I'm just giving you my outside opinion looking in. I have a great deal of faith in this board and their ability to do this. It is a diverse board, and they've had some challenges, but they've responded to those challenges. And I think whatever comes out of this is certainly going to be subject to the citizens, it's certainly going to be subject to the council, but it's going to be a lot better than what we already have. But, you know, and it's going to be a lot better than if we hadn't had you guys sitting on this board spending this time with it. And if it wasn't for your efforts in this, although I've been accused of being harsh and gruff and maybe even rude.
I can't imagine that. You just misunderstood.
Misunderstood, yeah. Those are not my intentions in me making these comments.
Oh, Jim, I've known you, for quite a while now, and we talk and disagree on things, and I don't think anything that you said today is criticism, but is your manner of productive input. Okay.
You know, my focus as a city councilman and my goal for this land use plan is that it's going to provide us some good guidance in where we're growing so we can plan for the infrastructure growth. It is going to provide you as a planning and zoning board the regulations and to do what you need to do. And thirdly, I hope that this is going to bring about the right zoning of our community.
Yeah, I think we're hoping that we'll get the zoning right, we'll put in the master plan, and we'll do the growth for the city, and at the same time put ordinances in place that, you know, makes things pretty transparent and up front for everybody.
Do you need us to do anything for next time?
one of the things I want to continue thinking about is Jim.
Yes.
Jim brought up, one of the things he brought up that I was just about to get to, and probably we'll get to next time, is if we're thinking about the types of businesses that are going to be important in the future, the new businesses that are going to come in, what types of businesses are those going to be? And you know, sometimes the communities will have their economic development corporations will have done kind of targeted industry analysis to figure out what industry mix is the right kind of thing. I didn't know if you guys have already undertaken something like that.
There was something done very similar to that in the very late 90s, okay? And this was prior to the Eagle Ford shale.
Yeah.
So a lot of that data may be relevant, but a significant amount of it has changed. But that analysis was done in the late 90s, and it exists within the EDC. I've looked at it several years ago. I went through that information. I would hope that Ram Ramirez could make that available to you.
And I can look a little bit too on some of the data that's available through the Workforce Commission, and I looked at the other one. I was just looking at one today. There's was a zip code based industry analysis. And it's just, I mean, it's a quick, fairly quick kind of report. It's not necessarily ground truth or, but it should give you a basic idea of the structure of the business mix. But taking that is one thing. The other thing is thinking in the future about what really might be needed and where we should have those, where we should have that growth. The industrial park, obviously, there's always questions about where you place an industrial park. Every community I've worked in has had arguments, ongoing arguments about we don't need another industrial park, we do need another industrial park. We should have saved that land for single-family residential. Nobody's going to buy it down here. There's always those arguments. But where should that growth occur? And I don't necessarily have the answers coming into it blind. So I want to get some feedback from you guys on maybe some of those discussions that you guys have had in the past, maybe some of the battles that you've had in the past on that topic. But the availability of industrial land, I know, is a significant issue down the road in Pleasant. And industrial land that's sitting on infrastructure that can actually support its growth is a big issue down in Pleasant. So I can't imagine that you guys aren't feeling the same kind of pressures for new development, new businesses to go locate. And what do those businesses look like? Are they just serving Eagle Ford Shale, or are they they're serving some of the existing? We talked about the hospital agglomeration earlier. Some of the healthcare industry. Healthcare industry is one of the industries that is projected to grow nationwide and continue a huge demand for land and labor, just due to an aging population, an aging demographic. We're not talking about you. You get all upset.
There are so many segments to this